I'm Adrienne of the Adrienne Ross Show, and this is another basketball edition. I've said many times that sports is a microcosm of society. And I got to speak on something. We are halfway through the WNBA season. It is the All-Star break. And though we are halfway through, I still can tell that this league and these players, I should say some of them at least, don't seem to get it. So I'm going to help spell it out today. Okay. Now, I used to watch the WNBA way back in the day. I went away from it for years, came back this year because I followed Caitlin Clark from college into the WNBA. So I'm watching again. There are people who are watching for the first time. There are people who've been watching all along. And there are people who, like me, have come back to the league. Now, because I'm familiar with the league, I know that there are lots of players in the league who can ball, as they say. They're talented players. I'm not going to be one of those who sits up here and says that's not the case. Having said that, though, we all know that the stadiums were not being packed, people were not glued to the television, and the league is 27 years old. So in almost 3 decades, the league has not been able to attract the attention it is now getting, despite the fact that there are players who can play, that there have always been players who can play. But I got to tell you something. If you're, I don't want to say old, but if you've been around for a while, like I have, back in the day, our options for entertainment were kind of limited. When I was small, it was Etch-a-Sketch, right? And then as I went into middle school and stuff, video games started coming out. We had the little handheld kind of Pac-Man, and we had other video games. You know, you got your Mario Brothers or whatever. Very, very basic stuff, okay? And that's how we entertained ourselves. Nowadays, folks today are not going to be entertained by Etch-a-Sketch. They're not going to be entertained by the little Pac-Man. They need all the bells and whistles. It's just because of the society we live in. It's the sign of the times. And as I said at the beginning, so say I again, sports, microcosm of society. And so the reason why, for those who don't get it, the reason why you take a Caitlin Clark and you get so much attention that you didn't have before, although I know that there are some who think that they did, or at least they're pretending they did, the reason why is because it's been like Etch-a-Sketch. It's been like the handheld Pac-Man. Although you've been good at it, it's still not the kind of game that people want to see. And that is just a fact based on the society we live in. We're living in a time where there are so many things we could be doing. There are so many other things we could be doing that you're going to have to come with something better than good to keep our attention. Whether that's fair or not, it is what it is. So if I'm sitting in front of the television and I turn on a game, I've got to see something extra that's going to keep my attention, because there are a million other things vying for my attention. That's why you can't just be good. That's why you got to have something different. You've got to have something extra. You've got to have a reason for me to stay tuned in. And you definitely got to have a reason for me to pay money and show up at the arena. There are a million other things vying for my attention. And this is something the league doesn't seem to get. The players don't seem to get. That's why you hear them saying things like, me too. That's why you hear them saying things like, we're balling. They don't yet understand that the sign of the times is the handwriting on the wall. So it's not just that you play. It's how you play. And Caitlin Clark's style of play draws women who've never been interested, draws guys who've never been interested, draws men who love competitive sports, for example, who never thought that they would tune in to a women's basketball game, and women too. I just did an interview with Takia Hollowell the other day, in which she said she shared what drew her to the league, and it's Caitlin Clark. It caused her to say, as other people have said, if Caitlin Clark chooses to leave, she'd try to stay, but chances are slim. It seems unfair, but it is what it is because of the times we're living in. And that's why people are turned off by some of the tactics that we're seeing this season. That's why people don't care about your quote unquote physicality. In the times we're living in, it's not physicality that draws people. It's not bully ball that draws people. It's the bells and the whistles of the full court pass, of the running the break, of the logo three, of the pinpoint passes, the behind the back passes, the assists that's what's going to draw people. That you got to have a wow factor. Okay. And so when you pride yourself, as this league apparently does, because we heard it over and over again, when you pride yourself on physicality, and when you talk about the fact that every rookie is kind of going to be hazed and that's just the way it is, you don't get it, because people don't show up to games or tune into games to see your physicality or to see your defense, which looks a lot like, some people say, prison ball. People don't want that. We're in an offense-driven society. Lisa Bluter, Caitlin Clark's coach from Iowa, she talked about that. People want offense. And so when you tune in and you see these teams double, triple teaming, blitzing, when you see them 94 feet on Caitlin Clark, in your delusion, you think it makes you look good, that you can, quote, stop the rookie. You think that is what's going to impress people, when in fact it works in the opposite way. It turns people off, but they don't get it. That's why you hear them say, well, what do you think we're going to do? Just let her score? What do you think we're supposed to do? Well, no, nobody thinks you're just supposed to let somebody score. But what people don't want to see is something that doesn't look like real basketball. People don't want to see someone guarded 94 feet the whole game. I mean, here and there, it's okay. But this whole 94 feet, which we're seeing now a lot, people are not interested in that. People want to see, you say you're all that, you say you got skills, then why can't one of you defend her? Why can't one of you show real defense instead of this whole slow the game down, 94 feet, knock her to the floor, all the stuff that we were seeing, and you saying, well, we're just physical. Well, she may not be up to the physicality. Well, that's just how it is. And we got to break the rookie in, and, we got to haze the rookie. People are not interested in that. People don't tune in for that. People want to see real defense. Then can't you defend the person you're assigned to? I mean, it takes your whole team to stop somebody. And so that's where there is a disconnect. Even think about it. For those of you who say, well, we're not just going to let her score. And again, nobody's saying that. But if it takes your whole team to stop the rookie, you might want to reevaluate the talent of your team. Think about the NBA. For a long time, it was illegal to play zone defense in the NBA. Couldn't play. Now you can play zone defense. But still, in professional basketball now, there are rules even regarding that. Why weren't they allowed to play zone defense professionally? They weren't allowed to play zone defenses because you end up just camping out in the lane, and therefore we cannot see the offensive game that we're supposed to see. You're just kind of going to camp out. It clogs up the lane. It's not what basketball is supposed to be. And so no. So even though now there's zone defense, it's hardly ever played, really. But even though now there's zone defense, there's still rules regarding how far away you can be from that player and for how long. Why? Because people want to see people with skill play basketball. They don't want to see you just clogging up a lane. They just don't. And so it's not about trying to water down the game. It's about playing the game as it should be played. And so because we're living in the times we're living in, you got to come with something that draws people's attention. And if what you think draws people's attention isn't reality, then you're going to be stagnant. I mean, there were people who weren't watching the WNBA at all, period. But if you thought it was hard to get people to tune in all along, even more so now in the society we're living in, where I can do a million other things. I've got a million other responsibilities and a million other forms of entertainment. So I'm not going to tune in just because you're good. I want to see something different. And that's what Caitlin Clark brings. And yet, and still, people continue to say, well, we're good, where we've got Asia Wilson, we've got Jonquel Jones, we've got Nneka Ogwumike, we've got whoever, fill in the blank. And people are still saying, I don't care how good you are. What do you have that's different? What do you have that's worth me turning down another opportunity to do something exciting? Because our attention span in the society we live in is extremely, extremely short. And that's why Caitlin Clark is so valuable to this league, because she brings that extra something that causes people to say, I'm willing to stop what I was doing. I'm willing to watch. It's different. It's not just good, it's exciting, even with all the other things vying for my attention. That's just the hard truth. And I realized I already knew that they don't get it, but I listened to some of the interviews that the All-Stars were doing on this All-Star weekend. Very good. The ones I saw, articulate, presented themselves really well. I applaud them for that. But one particular interview stood out. It involved Jonquel Jones and Nneka Ogwumike. Nneka Ogwumike from the Seattle Storm. And she was asked a question. She handled it respectfully, although she was quite passionate that she didn't appreciate that question. But again, she handled it well, but she also revealed to me that as articulate as she is, as good of a player as she is, as long as she's been in the league, and even watching what she's watching with Caitlin Clark this season, she still doesn't get it. I want you to check it out, and then we'll talk about it.
One, maybe two questions to your right. What's up, third row?
This question is for both of you. You talked a lot about the new investment, the seriousness, even with the media telling the stories. My question is, what do you think the players and the league need to do to show the future investors that it is worth continuing to do those things? And when we're talking about Aflac and any of the future investors that could be available to you guys, what do you guys need to show on your end that continues?
Can I ask you a question? What do you think we're doing right now that's bringing investors in? Do you feel like we're doing anything right now that's bringing those people in?
Yeah, I do. I think that there's a blend of style and substance that I don't think we had seen as dramatically as we do now. I think the All-Star Game is a great opportunity to showcase those things. I don't know if I'm asking, are you conscious of that kind of opportunity to give I asked about box office earlier with Angel. How conscious are you guys of the box office opportunities and embellishing that so that investors do want to keep pouring in, because you guys deserve for it to be pouring in?
I mean, if we deserve for it, I don't really know what else we need to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why I asked you. I was like, if what we're doing is working, like, you know, when someone wants to invest, the product doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? They just pay attention to the product in a different way. And I think that's what we're experiencing right now. I have to be honest, like, that's a question that I used to get a lot that really used to grind my gears. because, you know, we grew up being like saying like, they should lower the rim. They should do this. Y'all should wear skirts. Y'all should wear booty shorts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just kind of like, we're playing basketball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that the level of investment right now it's transformational because there's more people watching. They made it accessible for everyone to be able to see it. What we felt is
I want to pause there for a second and then I'll pick up again because she doesn't even get what she's saying, right? She's missing a huge part. She's right. She's right. The product is the product. There are more people who are watching the product, she said. What she fails to understand and get to the root of is this question: why is it more accessible for people now? Why are the opportunities there now for people to see the product that weren't there before? She doesn't get it. Why are opportunities there now for people to see the product and they weren't there before? Answer is simple, but she doesn't get it. Because no one deemed it worthy of seeing. He says you deserve it. That's what he said. You deserve it. Because, you know, he didn't expect her to throw it back at him. So he had to clean it up. You know, he's like, well, you know, because I hope you, you know, how are you going to continue this opportunity and da-da-da-da. And well, she said, well, why do you think that, you know, we have the investors and all that? And he's just like, well, because, you know, he wants to say, well, because Caitlin Clark and even Angel Reese and all the social media stuff and all that, you know, but you deserve to be seen. And she's like, well, if we deserve to be seen, then we deserve to be seen. No, she fails to understand, yeah, that now they have access to us because the opportunity has been made available to us. Why has the opportunity been made available now that wasn't made before? Because you didn't have the generational talent before that you have now. Let's continue.
right. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the level of investment right now it's transformational because there's more people watching. They made it accessible for everyone to be able to see it. What we felt is this is what we've always felt. But we have people in the league office who've been here since I've been here, who've been here since before I got here. We have a number of former players that are now coaches, all of which I played. I mean, like, it's been a system. And I think that the level of investment is coming now because more people can see it. You know, it's more visible, it's more accessible. And they see that we are driving culture in a lot of different ways. But most importantly, we can hoop, you know, we can hoop. We're playing basketball out here. That's the product. So, I mean, unless you want to have like a 5-point line, I don't really know what else we can really do. We have people that are shooting it from out there, but I don't think that there's anything that the players need to do more of. I really don't. And I think that the league is responding in ways that we've experienced, especially this season, that that's showing that investment is going somewhere. And we're a part of a union that is also working to ensure that valuation continues to be shown. So, sorry, I got real passionate about that, but thank you for your question.
Okay. Like she said, we're balling out here. We're playing basketball, but where she falls short, where I say she still doesn't get it, is the fact that she said, I don't think there's anything else we can do. I don't think there's anything else we can do. We have a product, and the only difference now is that more people are able to see the product. But again, the reason why more people are seeing the product is because it's being shown more. Can't stop there, though. The question is, why? Why is it being shown more? Because there's something different. It's not just efficient basketball. It is efficient and it is exciting. And in the times we're living in, when you give me something that I can run with, I'm going to run with it. But if you're just giving me efficiency, Not good enough. Not today. It was hardly good enough before. It's certainly not good enough today. You guys know the kind of culture we live in. And sports is a microcosm of society, of culture. Okay, now, problem with what she said at the end when she's sort of summing it up again, when she says, I don't really think there's anything else that we can do differently. That's the problem. What you can do differently, one, maybe you need to up your game. Maybe you need to bring some of that excitement that people are tuning in now to see that wasn't there before. That's one thing. Another thing is maybe you can stop as a league talking about and bragging about how physical you are and how you basically want to welcome the rookies into the league by knocking them upside their heads every once in a while, because that's just what we do here. That's a problem. So maybe it's not just what you can do, maybe it's what you need to stop doing. In addition to presenting yourself in a certain way when you go before the media. And like I said, I saw some of these interviews. I was highly impressed. They did a great job, but not everyone is doing that. You know, the people I saw, I'm like, these girls are marketable. These girls are respectful. They're paying homage to Cheryl Miller and to those who came before, and they're talking well of one another and all that stuff. That's great. Not everyone is doing it. Maybe you need to start doing that. PR training, something like that. I don't know. Maybe you need to knock it off social media with the race stuff, with the putting down different player stuff, you know, like the players like Caitlin Clark that other people are tuning in to see, etc. So there are lots of things that you can do that would cause people to want to invest in you. But the answer halfway through the season is still that. There's nothing else we can do. If we deserve it, then why don't we get it? Now, I happen to agree with her on this, and some people will disagree with me. She's like, lower the rim, and I'll stop right there. The booty shorts and all that nonsense, you know, that mess is, well, I ain't even gonna get into that. But she's good to, you know, she's right to just be like, get out of here with that. The lowering the rim. Some people have suggested that. Some people have gotten offended by that. All I'm going to say about that is I don't think it's necessary. And I believe Caitlin Clark's game is Exhibit A. It is Exhibit A. People are willing to watch for her shooting, for her passing, for her basketball IQ, for her ability to see the whole court before it even unfolds. And may I say again, for the passing. Behind the back, pinpoint passes, threading the needle, and shooting the logo three, all of that. And she's not dunked the ball, to my knowledge, one time. So I don't believe you need to dunk. Although for some people, that would be added, but the stadiums are being filled and people are tuning in. The ratings are up on television, and that's without the dunk of the basketball. So I will agree with her there. But I will say there are things that you're going to have to do other than to sit there and say, this kind of question used to grind my gears, or there's nothing else we can do. And it's the only difference is that now we're being seen. Yep. And because you're being seen, people have become fans of different particular players. And yet they'll still say, well, many, if Caitlin Clark leaves, I'm out of here. Because in this society we're living in, we need something extra. And your bully defense in your 94 feet, and you're feeling that somehow that makes you worth watching, or breaking in rookies, and that makes you worth watching, is delusional. I don't know if it would have worked at any time, but certain, when you talk about the masses and investments, is not going to work. They're going to have to get on the page of understanding the times in which we're living now for sure, and what it is people want to see and invest in. It might be the hard truth, but it's the truth. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment respectfully, please. And if you choose to donate to the channel, information is in the description. All right. I am hoping to go live tonight for the All-Star game. We'll see how that goes. God bless you abundantly.